at it again. This is Big Raj. That is
Jimmy.
Just Jimmy. Anyway, glad to see you this morning. We're ready to talk some football.
Is it time?
It's time. It's time. It's time. It's
Go
time.
ahead. Go ahead.
Hey. Why am I doing that? Why am I doing that, Jimmy?
Oh,
Why am I doing that, Jimmy?
Florida won.
No, Alabama lost. Come on. Everybody should be dancing with me.
I ain't got a problem with it.
It's been a week, and I'm still dancing, bro. Well, no, you ain't got a problem with it. Hold on.
I got a problem. I'll back up.
Let's rewind.
I got a problem with Alabama losing.
Let me rewind this.
But I ain't got a problem with Alabama losing.
Let's put the brakes on. Hold on a minute. I'm going to have to put words back in your mouth.
Well, I just admitted it.
What did you say last week? I hope they beat the brakes off of them. And I hope Alabama comes out. They're going to stomp a mud hole in their rear end.
I wish they had. That's why they play the game.
Hey, you can't put it back in your mouth, bro.
I admitted it. I hate they lost.
Oh, dude, I don't think anybody picked an unranked team to go in there and beat Alabama.
No.
The way they beat them.
No, not that way. But it's evident they ought to thank Florida for the game plan.
And I completely and totally agree with you. Now, let me say this. I am going to get on my high horse here for just a minute because at the beginning of the year, I told you they're going to. I'm always on that horse, especially now that Alabama lost. At the beginning of the year, I said Alabama's going to lose a couple. Listen now. I said at least 2 or 3, did I not? At the beginning of the year, and you said
Alabama was 3.
They are 3 right now, ain't they?
No, they ain't.
I'm telling you, they threw. Listen, you won't listen to me. I've been trying to preach to you all year. Brother, listen to me.
You said Freddie Freeman should have been traded.
Yeah, he should have been, and they would already been done with what they're doing. But we're going to talk baseball in a minute.
Or a man hitting over 30 home runs and over 300.
My whole thing is you got to downplay me because you take the shade off yourself.
No,
I'm telling you right now, they're going to lose at least 2 games.
Okay.
And right now, what has happened is, and I'm going to tell you another team that everybody thinks they're praising and everything, already giving the crown to Georgia.
No, Georgia's best team there ever was. Ask their fans, they'll tell you.
Well, I'm talking about their fans, and the stuff that you put on Facebook is a bunch of crap, and I'll tell you that right now. Because
but it's my page. I'll put what I want.
All you try and do is provoke folks. But my thing is, go to Jimmy's Facebook and let him stir back with him. Go to Jimmy's Facebook. Go to our Facebook. We do a show on Friday night.
We do a what?
We do a show on Friday nights. On Tuesday nights. A high school show on Facebook, but go to our website. Go to all our other pages. Go to our website at www. Why do I always do the www?
I don't know.
It's just
Nobody
go to the Armchair Sports. I'm old. Go to thearmchairsports.com. You can get to our Facebook, our podcast, and everything. Or if you want to, count me down, Jimmy.
3. Oh, you want to go from 10?
No, just good Lord. Come on, my arms are getting tired.
Oh, from any number?
Oh, no, my goodness. 99 bottles. What? That's Jimmy. Anyway.
You just said count you down. You didn't say from where.
Hold on. Just hush a minute. Just sit over there and look pretty.
I'm counting in my head. I'll let you know when it's 30.
So here, if you'll scan this, it'll take you straight to our Facebook. Then you can go to everything else from our Facebook. And then if you go to our website, it'll also take you anywhere you want to go. So scan this right here and take it to all these other digital places. And no, you can't go into space with what's his name? He went up this past week. Beam me up, Scotty. Kirk. Captain Kirk finally went into space. Anyway, scan that right there. Scan that, and then he's
He's been in space the whole time.
Well, he's 90 years old. He was the oldest man to go into space this past Wednesday, I believe it was.
SpaceX?
Thursday. I don't remember whether it was SpaceX or it was that other space traveling station. So they put him up there, and he said, first time Captain Kirk's really been in space. Anyway, let's go back to some football.
Spacey anyway.
Let's go back to some football. Where were we at? What were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about going into all.
You're talking about Alabama losing.
Talking about I can make a whole show on this one, bro. I can make a whole show. But so let's look at some of the conference. Let's look at the conference. Let's look at the AP poll to begin with. The AP poll, Chris, you're gonna put it up on the screen back there behind you or behind me or whatever you want to call it. The AP and the coaches poll pretty much similar. There's two differences, but Georgia, of course, at number 1.
And they deserve to be.
They deserve to be. That's where I was going with this earlier. Georgia deserves to be at number 1, but remind me when we get to Georgia, there's a reason Georgia will not last at number 1, and we'll get into that. Now, I'm not a hater. I root for Georgia when Florida's not winning, and if I'm not playing, if Gators aren't playing Florida, then I'll root for Georgia. But I just think they have a deficit that they've got to overcome, which was shown in last week's ball game. And then you got Iowa at number 2. Now, everybody's talked all week about Iowa and how great they are. I just don't see it. I think when the BCS poll comes out on November the 2nd, I think what you're going to find out there, you're going to find out that some of these teams that are up here, they're not going to be there, even though they're 0 whatever.
We still got 6 weeks to go, and a lot can happen.
That's what I'm saying. And ask Alabama. A lot can happen in 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
So they haven't played. They beat Iowa State. So look, we're going to give them due. They're going to be at number 2 for right now, and there's nothing that we can say or do about it because that's what's happening. So we got to roll with it. And then again, you're going with Cincinnati. Now I'll give Iowa number 2, but why are you putting Cincinnati at number 3? To me, Cincinnati doesn't deserve to be at number 3. Why? Because they've played nobody. Their teams that they've played are just are not there. And the caliber is just not there. Just like Oklahoma. Okay, yeah, Oklahoma played Texas. Didn't they go into overtime or wasn't it a close game?
They've been into, I believe, a few.
Yeah.
I think 2 overtimes and several. So you know who Oklahoma reminds me of?
Who?
Florida State in 2013, because dang if we didn't get lucky every single game.
Well, and you know what? Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying there in a phrase, because you have to be lucky to win. That's just, I mean, Clemson was lucky. Alabama was lucky in a couple games, but they pretty much just dominated.
But Oklahoma's not going to be there at the end.
No, I don't think they will. But then you've got here's one of my biggest problems. And I said this was going to happen, but I said it was going to happen later on in the year. I said if Alabama loses, they're going to fall to number 4 or number 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what happened. Here's the problem. Right now, they set Alabama up perfect. Alabama's almost guaranteed to be in the
number 2.
They're almost guaranteed to be in the playoffs. Here's why. Because there's 3 teams, Iowa, Cincinnati, Oklahoma. If any of those teams lose, Alabama's going to slide in. Is anybody else going to beat them? I don't know. But like you were saying, Florida almost beat them, so the recipe was there. Jimbo Fisher took the recipe that Florida had and took it to Alabama and actually beat him. Mm-hmm. So now how many other people are going to use that same recipe?
I don't think that recipe is going to be good after last week.
I think it will, and the problem with it is
there's going to be teams replicate it, but I don't think they're going to get the same results because you know he's on that.
Well, I agree with you.
Saturday night, I guarantee you they had coaches.
A lot of people were saying that when the Florida game happened too, and they replicated in the Texas A&M game. So I just think what's happening, and this is where we're going to get into Georgia in a little bit. But as I've been saying at the beginning of the year, I think Alabama's time is up. I've said that, and I'm sticking with it. And I think that somebody else, and if it's not Georgia, somebody else before they get out, I don't see really who they play that's actually going to knock them out. So going back to here, Alabama's going to move back up. So they're almost guaranteed to be in the playoffs.
Well, but the thing on that is they'll be guaranteed to be in it until the SEC championship game, but they're going to have to win it to be in it.
Right, and I agree with you.
That loss hurt them. You can't put – that's why if it goes the way they think, Georgia and Alabama, they're going to have to beat Georgia to get into it.
Well, here's and that's what I was saying last week when we were on the show last week. I was like, that's what's going to happen. And if Georgia, you're kind of jumping ahead on me here, but I'll go ahead and turn it around.
Roll with it.
Yeah. So Georgia and Alabama are definitely going to be there. Now, Alabama is a have to beat Georgia. Georgia's not a have to beat Alabama only if. Now, reverse the roles are reversed now. If Florida beats Georgia or Kentucky beats Georgia today, then you're looking at a total different lineup, and there's a reason that might happen. When we get back to Georgia, we'll talk about why that happened. But we're on Alabama right now. So Alabama is a chance to actually stay there. If they lose another one or lose the SEC championship game, they're done. Mm-hmm. They have a must-win from here on out.
Yeah, they have to roll. They have to win out.
Georgia can lose one. The people that can't lose one right now is Iowa, Oklahoma, and Ohio State. Because you see what's happened. But
I don't think Cincinnati can.
So you see, right, yeah, I agree with you. So look what's happened. So Ohio State and Alabama, they're the darlings of the NCAA football right now. So they have positioned Alabama and Ohio State. If anybody loses, those teams are moving straight up. Mm-hmm. So then again, you've got the same two teams in it that's been in it forever.
But I think Ohio State's going to lose again for it. So
I think Alabama is too. So I think we're both on the same page there. So let's move back to we talked about Ohio State. I just can't dig in and talk about Ohio State anymore because of certain people. All right, Penn State. Kirk State. So Penn State. The games that I've watched when they had their whiteout, they didn't play a great game. And I don't think that Penn State actually has the football team to move up. So I think Penn State's going to lose again, and they're at number 7.
But I think they're also going to be distracted about their coach, too, who's rumored to be a leading candidate at USC.
Right. So
is that going to come into play? You never know.
I don't know. Urban Meyer may be out of the NFL. He may be at USC before long. But we'll circle back to that. So you got Penn State. And then let's face it, Michigan and Michigan State. Michigan's at number 8. Michigan State is number 10. So at Michigan State, they play at the end of the year. That's the rival game.
So they're going to knock each other out.
Yeah, so one of them's knocking the other one out, but it's a guaranteed win for the other one. So, and then you've got Oregon. And I told you we were going to come back and talk about Oregon. I don't think they're out of it.
They're not out of it until they play a SEC team.
Yeah, well, here's my thing is I think you look right in here, Iowa, Cincinnati, Penn State, Michigan, I think, and Oklahoma probably, they all have a chance to be beaten. And if they get beat, Oregon's going in.
Their day's coming. I mean, they're what is Oklahoma? 5-0, 6-0?
Yeah, something like that. They should be
top.
Should be 6-0.
Yeah, 6-0. 4 of those, they barely squeak by.
Right. So you got to have luck sometimes, but luck ain't on your child.
Yeah, it ain't going to be there every time.
So I still see that there's a sneaky, suspicion that Oregon could still finally be up there in the top. I really do, even though they've lost. So
I think if Oregon gets there, they'll play the first game, and then that's going to be it for them.
True.
I don't see them in the championship game.
So I think what they're trying to do, and right now you have representation from every conference except for
one.
What was it? The Mid-Atlantic? MEAC. Yeah, I think so. It's the Mid-Atlantic, and I think that's the only team that's not represented with the top 20 team. Every other conference has one or two top 20 conference, somebody in the top 20, and who was it that had 3 and the 4 in the top 10?
Big 10.
Big 10 or Big 12? Or 12?
Should be Big 10.
Because it was, because you got Oklahoma. Because Big 12 has 3, which is Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and Texas. And then you've got, who was the other one? Then Big East, the Big 10 has Michigan Wolverines, Michigan Spartans, the Ohio State Buckeyes, and Penn State. So they're repping right now, but will they rep at the end of the year? Because the SEC tends to always come back. But then you look at the SEC. The SEC has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in the top 25. 7 teams. You got Georgia at 1, Kentucky at 11, Florida at 20, Alabama at 5, Ole Miss at 13, Arkansas at 17, and Texas A&M at 21.
You got Florida at 20.
Yeah. What did I say? I said Florida at 20.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So SEC still repping everybody. So the big thing is, are we going to push through, and is the SEC still going to be in it? I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take a break, and we'll come back to it right after this.
Need a website for your business? Let Shadowfox Design help. We will design and build your website so you have more time for your business. We will help with all your online needs so you have more time for your customers. Learn more and get started now by going to www.shadowfox.design. Research less and relax more with eTravel Anytime. Let us help you decide which Sandals destination is best for your romantic getaway, or help you choose the family resort that is best for your vacation. We can also help you decide which cruise is best for you and your family. Tell us your preferences and we can narrow down your choices. Contact us today so we can help you plan your next vacation. Call 229-300-3691.
So let's move on and let's kind of talk about, we were talking about Florida State. We're going to get into, we did the polls. Now let's go in a little bit what we see. Now, Florida State's not in the polls, but we're going to talk about them anyway because you are a homer. So and our show airs here in Tallahassee, so we got to talk about Florida State. Now, Florida State right now in region, they're 2-2, right?
Yeah.
So in region 2-2, I think they're 2-6 overall.
2-4.
2-4 overall. So if you look at who they have coming up, you got UMass
today,
right, and then you've got Clemson, North Carolina State, University of Miami, Boston College, and Florida. So if you can beat Clemson, which I think you could, I think you really can. I think you're going to have a hard time with North Carolina State, but I think you could beat them.
North Carolina State, it seems, always gives us a game. They could be 0 and whatever, and we could be undefeated, and they seem to always be a Achilles.
Right. So let's face it. So let's say you beat UMass.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives you another one. So that makes you 3-4. And then Clemson, you're going into Clemson. That's going to be hard to do. I don't think you're going to be able to do it. So it gives you a loss. So that's 3-5. And then North Carolina State, I think you can beat North Carolina State. They've got North Carolina State's at number 22, only because they've had some miraculous and then they had some poor. So back and forth. It's a possibility that you could beat North Carolina State, and I will say it's at North Carolina State. So can you beat them? I don't know. Miami, I think you can beat Miami. I think.
Where are we playing Miami?
It's at your stadium.
At our stadium?
Here in Tallahassee, and UMass is here in Tallahassee. And then you got Boston College, which is at Boston College, and then you have Florida at Florida. You're not going to beat Florida at Florida. Not this year.
Yeah, nobody said Texas A&M was going to beat Alabama either now.
Yeah, but I'm telling you,
okay.
You can mark it in my blood. I'm telling you,
you're
going to beat us Gators. That's going to be one you and I are going. We're going to dog eat dog world there. Gator eat Indian world. And you got Miami, and I think you can beat them. So there is. I think you guys have a chance that you could go to the ACC championship game. The question is, can you win any more games? You're on a trend, and you said this, and I got to give you credit for this. You said if we start winning, it's going to make us have that winning feel and that winning confidence. So today's going to be today getting over UMass. If you can win this game again, then you've got mad confidence going into Clemson. Now, then, do you get broke or do you actually upset Clemson? Because Clemson is falling off.
Clemson's falling. Is there a chance? There's always a chance. It may be small, but there's a chance. I think it's just going into next week, which I'm sure Coach Norvell has them worried about this week.
I bet he stayed away from the high school.
I think he's concentrating on this week, knowing what's in the back of his mind next week. I'm sure they've looked at it. But according to how we do today, that confidence that I said we would have to win the one game. I said it even though we had won the one, but then we followed up with that fiasco. And that's when I said we've got to win the one to get that confidence going. And last week, they showed it. I mean, that wasn't a Florida State of old last week. But when you're a 13-point underdog and you win by more than that, it shows the boys we're right there.
Yeah, you're on that edge, and I think you have an opportunity.
Or not boys, young men.
Yeah, I think you have that opportunity now to actually jump over the edge here and flip it and say, okay, now what do we do from here? It's all the coaches' adjustments now, because you have to put things into play that people don't know, because they're going to come back, and UMass, especially Clemson, Debble's going to be ready for that ball game, because he's going to see the progression that Florida's made. He's going to be like, wait a minute, we got to take Florida State. We got to take Florida State seriously, so let's do this. So I really think that you guys have a chance if the coaches stay there. I've told you all along, I think it's a coaching problem, and as you see, it has been. They're starting to get people where they need to be so they can actually call the plays that need to be called.
The thing about that game is we have absolutely nothing to lose.
You don't have anything else to lose. You're like the Valdosta Wildcats in Valdosta, Georgia.
All we can do is upset your season.
Yeah,
man.
You've got nothing else to worry about. I mean, now could you?
And in a way, I think that's going to help us.
It will, but you also have to look. It may help you, but I think it's helping the coaches, because the coaches can go, well, let's throw poop to the fan, and let's see what sticks.
Make sure we're on the backside of the fan.
Well, yeah, before these 3 games, you were on the backside of it, right. But the thing is, you've got to be able to. The coaches have to be able to find it new, and I think they're doing that. I think they're finally getting the people in place.
Yeah, and you're getting the players that we've been expecting to step up, or actually getting that confidence that their teammates are also there.
Right.
And
exactly.
not just putting it on their shoulders.
Right. So I think you got a chance. Although it's a low chance, I think Florida State has a chance to actually prove themselves to everybody when UMass has 4 in a row. Then go to Clemson, and you were an underdog coming in here last week.
Yeah.
So the thing is, be the underdog, and you're going to go in there. You've got nothing to lose. Mm-hmm. Throw it to the fan again and see what sticks. And, hey, go for it. You might as well go for it. So, all right, let's move over to – not going to talk long about Oklahoma. And the reason I wanted to bring Oklahoma up is because they've got Oklahoma sitting in the polls at, what was it, 4?
4, I believe it was.
Okay, they're way overrated, and here's why. They beat Tulsa. They beat Tulane. They beat Western Carolina.
Ooh, awesome.
They beat Nebraska, West Virginia, Kansas, and, they beat number 21 Texas last week and almost lost the ball game.
Overtime.
Yeah, almost lost it. But that's all they've won, but they're at number 4.
I'm still trying to figure out why Texas was standing there watching a man run by.
Did they
last play of the ball game,
yeah.
and it's like they expect him to get in the line of scrimmage and go down so they could kick a field goal.
Right. And you know what? Smart play. Because you caught them off guard, and that's what I never understood about, okay, it's routine. Let's just all get in this little diamond, and we're just going to go down, and we're going to kneel down.
We're going to position the ball to where our kicker can kick it.
Yeah, and Mama T was asking about that the other day, and I'm like, the reason they do that is so they can get the kicker where they need to be. But what you have to understand is he may be trying to do that, and he's going to fake off of that. Because there was one of the pro teams that did that this past week. So that's my whole point as far as coming to Oklahoma at number 4. And I told you we were going to get in depth, and this is why, because they play TCU, Kansas, Texas Tech, and Baylor. Where is they play Iowa State. Now that's going to be a good game.
That might be their loss.
And then they play Oklahoma State at number 12.
And they have that's a rivalry game, so
they've got a potential of losing 2 games in a row, and that's what we were talking about. Mm-hmm. They could be 3 losses and completely out. I'm telling you, you got to watch over them. That's why I only
2 losses.
Well,
they could be 2 and out.
They could be 2 and out, and that's why I wanted to bring Oklahoma back up, is just because of that. And then we just talked about Florida State, and then let's talk about the Pac-12. The Pac-12 only has 2 people. Now, we were talking about the Oregon Ducks at number 9. Oregon Ducks aren't even leading their conference, and they're at number 9. They're 1-1 in their conference, but Oregon State Beavers are 2-1 in the conference, and Oregon Ducks are number 9 in the polls. How is that? In their conference, there's Oregon State Beavers, the Sanford Cardinals, and the Washington State Cougars all ahead of them in their conference. In the Pac-12 North.
I think you read too much into that. I don't worry about that.
I worry about it because if you look and you see how people are rated into these things, it's just nonsense.
But that has nothing to do with their ranking.
You told me that same thing when I said something about the first poll of the year. And I said, and now look at the poll. It's everywhere, dude. This is what I'm getting at. Everybody like yourself sits back and says, I don't put much into that. Well, if you don't put much into it, this is what you have. You have somebody that's ranked 4th in their conference, that's number 9 in the overall polls.
Well, play the season and see how it is at the end of the year.
I know that, but why do you have these polls that are giving you those predictions? That's what I don't understand.
To make people like you crazy?
Yeah, it's making me crazy. Now, again, the Mid-American Conference is the only conference that doesn't have anybody in the top 25. Everybody else, do you think that's done on purpose?
Name the teams in the MEAC.
No. What I'm saying, do you think there being every other conference has somebody in the top 25? Do you think they do that for a reason? Do you think it's just luck that everybody's in there except for the MEAC? Or do you think that, everybody has to have somebody that's in the top 25, so they put some schools in there? But what I'm saying, the only one that doesn't is the
Mid-American.
The Mid-American. Because, again, to the Big Ten. Michigan at number 8. All right, let's go. Ohio State at number 6. Michigan at number 8. Penn State at number 7. And Michigan State, again, somebody there is going to lose out, which means, again, their polls are going to be pretty screwed. But then if you also look at, you've got Iowa Hawkeyes at number 2. They're in that conference. So they're in the West. The other 4 are in the East, but they're still in the Big Ten. So the Big Ten has 5.
In the top 8.
In the top 8.
They're going to knock
each other. 10. Top 10.
They're going to knock each other out over the next 4 weeks.
Right. And that's what everybody says about it. But do they deserve to be there right now? That's what bugs me. It's just like the Big 12. The Big 12 has 3. They have Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and Texas. And after this week, Oklahoma State is going to end up, I'm telling you, Oklahoma State's going to beat them. And Oklahoma's going to fall out. But then you have the ACC, which we were just talking about, and you got Wake Forest and North Carolina State. North Carolina State is at number 22. I just don't. I think they're way overrated. They put them up at number 14 or 15 before in this year. And
Wake Forest.
Yeah, what did I say? No, North Carolina State.
Oh,
North Carolina State.
They were higher.
They were higher.
At the beginning of the year.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, and then they just became a bust. All right, and then the independents, you have Notre Dame is at number 14, and BYU is at number 19. All right, question. Here's a big question for you, all right? Now, I need you to talk a little bit. Is college football overreacting to Alabama's loss?
Yep.
Why?
Because of Nick Saban. You're crazy if you think he's going to come back and – I mean, it's true. He can't win it every year. But if you count Alabama out, with Nick Saban there, you'll lose your money.
Well, that's my question, though. I've already said it, and I have to stand by it because I said it. I think Alabama is starting their downturn. They've lost to an unranked team, completely unranked, who beats Alabama, and Alabama only moves 5 spots. And they were completely unranked on 4 spots. I'm sorry, they were completely unranked, and they only moved 4 spots. Where other teams play somebody that was ranked, and they move 10 spots. My Gators are 1. But the question...
So are you salty because the Gators dropped?
No, not really. I'm not really salty. But if you look at the way they're doing,
you want the consistency.
Yeah, because it's just not there. And because it's Nick Saban. Well, if you look at the way things are going and the things that are happening, they're on that downturn. This is when most coaches leave and go to another school or go to the professionals or whatever. Urban Meyer is a perfect example of this. He left.
He has heart problems.
Well, no, yeah. He left because Florida was on the downstraight. He left Ohio because they were starting the downstraight.
Y'all didn't have good recruiting classes and co-eds out
yeah,
here?
That's what I'm saying. But my whole point is that if you look at that, this is where people usually bail. I don't think he's going to bail. Saban's not going to bail. But I also think this is where it's going to start to turn. And again, I'm going to go back to what I said the other day. When you get into 2025, it's probably going to be earlier, but you get into 2025, I think the SEC is going to be turned upside down because of Oklahoma and Texas. Not because they're coming into not because they're coming into it.
You're thinking they're going to keep
their recruits are going to stay home. Yeah, mom and dad are going to want to stay home. They're going to want to play for that because they're going to be in the SEC. So they're going to get to play against those Nick Sabans and those.
You're going to have some, but I still think at the end of the day, your top players are simply going to say, I want to play in the SEC, and I want to win the Natty, and I want to go to the pros.
Right.
What college offers all three of those now?
Yeah, right now, but 2025, I'm telling you, because if Alabama's going to slide, Georgia's going to. Because Georgia's picking up there now.
Okay, but still, I mean, if we go present day, what colleges offer you that chance?
I don't know. Well, you brought up a good point, and I think we're going to get to that right after this break, because I think what we're going to do is
circle back.
We're not going. We're actually going to circle into the Heisman race, and we talked about this last week. We'll circle to it in a minute.
Research less and relax more with eTravel Anytime. Let us help you decide which sandals destination is best for your romantic getaway, or help you choose the family resort that is best for your vacation. We can also help you decide which cruise is best for you and your family. Tell us your preferences and we can narrow down your choices. Contact us today so we can help you plan your next vacation. Call 229-300-3691. Need a website for your business? Let Shadowfox Design help. We will design and build your website so you have more time for your business. We will help with all your online needs so you have more time for your customers. Learn more and get started now by going to www.shadowfox.design.
Okay, so we talked about the question we were going to talk about before the break was, now let's look at the Heisman, and I said running backs, but let's do this. Usually a quarterback wins, usually a running back wins, but it was second wide receiver to actually win a Heisman last year. So let's go that route. Do you think that because there's no real front runner right now for the Heisman as far as a quarterback, possibly in some running backs, but let's focus on wide receivers. Tell me what you think about if there could possibly be a wide receiver at running back. I mean, at
Heisman?
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
No, because your leading receiver is at Memphis with I got to put my eyeballs on.
That's okay.
But your leading receiver is Memphis with 837 yards, averaging 17.4. Problem is he's at Memphis.
What about down the line there, though?
Well, how do you skip down the line? Because it's Memphis, USC, and if you go with Drake London, who is a household name, but the problem is he's got 832 yards. He's averaging 13. So how do you give it over somebody else that has more yardage and more per catch? And he's got 5 touchdowns, and the top guy has 8. And guys underneath him has 7, 6, 4, 5, 9. 9 of them is another receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson at Kentucky. So how do you give it to the second guy and the top guy don't get it? And it's happened in the past, don't get me wrong. I mean, the Heisman Trophy winner is the most publicized.
Well, it's like we were talking last week, though, and I asked last week about the quarterback in the Heisman Trophy, and you said, and I was talking about Young, and I said I didn't feel that he was rated, he should be even in the conversation right now, and because he only had 1,200 yards, and you said, well, no, because there's other quarterbacks that have 2,200 yards, and the same scenario there was they were from Memphis or University of Virginia, I think is where you brought up one of them. I think
it was, yeah.
I mean, and he has 2,400 yards after last week. The problem that we're having right here is Bailey Zapp, not a household name.
Mm-hmm.
But
and to win the Heisman, you have to be a household name.
Yeah, you have to. But his percentage rating at quarterback is better than Armstrong, who actually has the most passes. Because let's look at Armstrong from University of Virginia. His pass completion is 65%, whereas Bailey from, I guess it's WAK University, Washington.
Wake Forest.
No, it's not Wake Forest. It's Washington. I think it's Washington something.
Where did I see?
WKU.
Oh, that's Western Kentucky.
Western Kentucky. So his percentages are way better at 70.4. So why would you pick somebody else? And that's what I was saying about Young. If you go down and look at this, 11th, they were talking about Heisman Trophy, Young winning the Heisman Trophy and all this. Yeah, and he's down at number 11.
But you got to think, at the beginning of the year, they was saying Rattay Rattler or whatever his name is from Oklahoma. Now they're even benching him.
He got benched.
So yeah. I mean, it's like the rankings. It's still too early. And I don't know right now a favorite. It don't matter what your stats are.
Right, true.
Because if you're at a smaller school or a school that's not in the hunt every year, I mean, Coastal Carolina at number 15, they're 6-0. You ain't heard nobody from there being mentioned.
Right.
And you will never.
Because it's Coastal Carolina.
Because it's Coastal Carolina. It's only going to be the Power 5.
You know what that reminds me of?
And it's going to be the top. It's going to be, there's only 4 or 5 schools that's going to have a player every year.
Jacksonville University, the Ospreys, they 3-4 years ago, maybe 5, they went to the top 10. They went to the Final 4, maybe the Final 8 before they actually lost in basketball. Nobody knew anything about them, and you haven't heard from them since. But they were the Cinderella. They went that far. Mm-hmm. I think that's what you're finding out right here.
Yeah.
You can't. And I have said this, and you can agree that I've said this because I know you will agree because I'm always right. That I said at the beginning, all this pre this, pre that, it's all for money. And now Young has got all this money. This kid Rattler out there at Oklahoma's got all this money. Why? Because all the money was there. Do you think that went to his head? He's got his money now. He's done.
And I know, folks, some of y'all's going to say, oh, he's just picking. But look at Georgia. Look, who's their starting quarterback right now?
Yeah, either one. Either or.
Well, the one that's got the big money deal isn't even playing.
Right. Well, they're saying
he's hurt.
They're saying Bennett right now. Bennett is actually coming to his own, and they think that he is actually going to be and can be if he continues on the path. But then again, this is where he goes back to I don't like when they do this because now what they're doing is they're starting to talk about the Heisman with him because they're not saying Heisman, but what they're saying is he could be, he can be, he will be. And then that's what's leading up to that, and it's all
leading
a bunch of baloney. Yeah, this year. Because they're saying if they make it to the Final Four, or if they get to that final,
it's supposed to be the best player. It hasn't been the best player in years.
No. All right, let's move on a little bit. Let's do this. So today, one of the biggest SEC games today is Georgia's playing Kentucky. Why? Because number one, Georgia, of course. And then it's what are they, 10 or 11?
Kentucky.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Chris won't put a polls up.
So anyway, Kentucky is
they're number 11.
They're number 11. So Kentucky's playing Georgia. Should this even be a game? Or do you think Kentucky and Stoops are finally coming out and getting their own? They beat Florida. They're 6-0. So do you think that it's going to be their time, or do you just think that defense with Georgia is going to be?
Georgia's defense is just too dominant.
True.
I mean, I still think on offense there's still questions for Georgia, but that defense is. I mean, they've only allowed 33 points in 6 games.
Well, Georgia's coming into the game right now with. Really only one injury that we know of that has been publicized, and that's Ali with the wide receiver.
Yeah.
So
nobody on defense is hurt.
No,
they're there. So
Kentucky's coming in. Now, Kentucky has 2 linemen that are down. They're not going to be playing today. So you've got 2 linemen down, and you're going against a team that runs the ball the most. So if you got when you got Cook in the backfield, to me, he's their best runner. People think other than that, but I think Cook is their best runner. And when he runs in straight up, you can't stop him. And you got 2 defensive line that haven't played. They're down.
Should it be a game?
I don't think it will.
I hope it is.
I don't think it will be. I think what you're going to see is you're actually going to see Georgia actually is going to put a hurting on Kentucky.
But then comes, and what I was fixing to say is, I hope it is. No, personally, yes, I got a favorite out on that team. But if you're a Georgia coach, you want a close game.
Yeah, see, I don't
You
agree.
need a close game because
You
they've
need a
been
toughness.
blowing everybody out. You need a game that goes down to make you say, hey, we need to work on this.
You know the problem with that is you got a game coming that's going to do that.
You say.
You're the one in Jacksonville. I'm telling you. I'm telling you right now. Florida was the one that almost beat Alabama first. Florida has lost 2 since.
Shoulda, woulda.
I understand that, but let me finish. But that is always a big game, and
It
that
is.
always that
And
ball
it don't
game
matter
can
who's
win, but-
undefeated and who ain't won that game. But you still need a game now to make you realize there's a few weaknesses maybe.
So if let's look at it this way. Even if Kentucky just loses 1 game, which is Georgia, all they've got to play is Mississippi State, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, New Mexico State, and Louisville.
But they won't be there at the end.
That's my whole point. So you're looking at Kentucky right there. If Kentucky can beat any way whatsoever, beat Georgia, it's a smooth sailing for them because you're talking they'll jump to number 4 or number 5 or number 6.
Yeah, but
everybody else in there. That's what I'm saying when we were talking earlier.
If they go undefeated,
yeah.
If they go undefeated, you're counting them in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure, because if you're going to beat Georgia, that's undefeated, and then they got to go play the SEC championship game, and they go undefeated there. Yeah, you're definitely in the playoffs. You're probably going to be number 1. If I had to pick it myself, because what you're looking at is you've got Georgia. If they beat Georgia and then Tennessee and Kentucky goes to the SEC championship game,
and if they play Bama,
and if they play whoever and beat it there, it doesn't matter if it's Bama.
Oh well, if they go undefeated, they're going to
be number
there.
1. They're going to be number 1 all the way, and then they're going to have to play.
But can they afford 1 loss? Not right now.
I don't know. That's why I like the 1 losses at the beginning of the year. Example, Ohio State.
Because look at them right now. They're number 11. If they lose,
they're done. They're back.
They're back at number 17, 18, 19, 20. And there's no way they're going to be, even if they win out, there's no way they can jump back up into the top 4 or 5.
Right. I mean, that to me is going to be, this game is crucial for them. Mm-hmm. This game is a pivot game for them. They know that too, and
they've got more on their backs than Georgia does.
Oh yeah, Georgia loses, they're going to go to number 5.
Yeah, they'll still be in position,
right? But they'll still be in position to get there. But if Kentucky loses, they're done and over. So it's a win. It's a win at all costs right now. If not, they're just positioned for a bowl game. Mm-hmm. And I look at a position,
which is what many teams are looking at.
Yeah, Florida is. That's all they're looking at is the position for a bowl game. And if Kentucky loses, what a rematch!
Yep,
in a bowl game. So I tell you what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back right after this.
Need a website for your business? Let Shadowfox Design help. We will design and build your website so you have more time for your business. We will help with all your online needs so you have more time for your customers. Learn more and get started now by going to www.shadowfox.design. Research less and relax more with eTravel Anytime. Let us help you decide which sandals destination is best for your romantic getaway, or help you choose the family resort that is best for your vacation. We can also help you decide which cruise is best for you and your family. Tell us your preferences and we can narrow down your choices. Contact us today so we can help you plan your next vacation. Call 229-300-3691.
Well, okay. So we just came back with this break. We were talking in the break. I think we pretty much wore out the fact about Georgia, Kentucky, and
Yeah, let's get away from them.
So let's do this. Let's move on to tomorrow night's games, or tomorrow professional football,
NFL.
Last week we really didn't talk. Yeah, we didn't talk a lot about the NFL or what was going on or anything. But
just one thing.
One thing about Urban or should I say about Urban? But all of a sudden now, Urban is nowhere in everybody's mind.
No, because somebody said here, hold my beer.
Hold my beer.
Hold
here
my
we
beer.
go. So, okay. Explain to everybody, which everybody knows that we've had a whole week of this stuff, but where you're coming from. And then I'm going to come on the back end of that, and I'm going to sit over here in disbelief that it actually happened.
Okay. Well, basically, in a nutshell, John Gruden wrote some emails. Some people don't consider them racist. I do. Basically saying that the NFL Players Association president, I believe it was, DeMar Smith, had lips the size of a Michelin tire and a few other choice words about him. It come out 10, 11 years ago. He wrote the email, and the Washington Journal, was it?
Washington
Post had got a hold.
No, it was the New York Post.
New York Post got a hold of him and released them. And
well, they released one.
He released the one, and he apologized. It seemed things got better. I don't think he helped himself at that first press conference when he said, "I've apologized. We're moving on."
Right.
I think he should have done more than just "I'm sorry." I mean, if not, he could have said, that was 11 years ago. I should have never said that. That's not who I am. But just, hey, I'm sorry. I wrote it. We're moving on. That don't fly. But that wasn't enough, so they released some more, and he's no longer a head coach because of it.
Yeah. Well, okay. Here, you said that you didn't agree with it, and I don't agree with it either. But what I don't agree with the most is
why now?
Why 10 years later was somebody released one email, and then on the back of that one email, wait 2 or 3 days, and then start releasing 3, 4, 5, 6, and I think it's up to 11 or 12. I mean, that's where I have a problem with this, because the whole situation is completely wrong to begin with. And I was a big Chucky fan. I'm not gonna lie. I thought, when he was on Monday Night Football, I thought he did a great job there. When he did his color commentary, no pun intended. He did a lot of things there. But the problem, he should have never said those things, and I agree with you. He should have come out full force, all media, 24/7. I'm sorry. But he did nothing.
So, no, he said, "I apologize. Yeah, let's move on."
Let's move on.
That's not an apology.
That's not an apology, and everybody took that as a slight. So then they started bringing more things out against him. But my problem is, if you go back 10 years in anybody's history, you're going to find they did something at some time that you don't agree with. Is it morally comparative? I don't think so, and here's why. Because in today's society, things are way different than they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. Way different. So things were said back then, and at that particular time, and from what I understand, the LGBT community, which I am a great backer of, when you get to know me, you know that. And the reason I say this is because he had one on his team, their defensive end. So, and there was conversations that he said he never felt that from Gruden.
He had who on his team?
He's got one of his defense.
You talking about Nassib now?
Yeah,
now
on his team right now, and he said he never felt slighted. But now you have Megatron, coming out saying when we were in Tampa, he didn't treat us well and he always slighted, and I always thought he was overbearing and none of this. Why didn't you say that then, Megatron? Why are you saying it now? Why didn't people say the things that they're saying now when he was a Super Bowl champion? When he came in and when Dungy finally left, and, he took a championship to them, but he left on a down note, and then Gruden came in and he put the cleats on the ground moving and won a championship with him. Nobody said anything then. Only now they want to come out and say things.
But could he have hit it that good?
No, I don't. He couldn't have, because it was a message right to Roger Goodell. It was right to the commissioner.
What was the message?
The message that the email was.
No, he wrote to the Washington football team guy.
Right.
Emails.
But he also wrote to the commissioner and told the commissioner some of these things. These are the second or third emails that are coming out. Why are these all of a sudden coming out? I mean, that's what I'm saying. When one person,
it's just hard to trust somebody when they've said that. Whether it was 10 years ago, whether it was last year, yes, people can change.
Okay, but see that is an oxymoron. It's hard to trust somebody that said that, but they said that, and you were able to trust them for 10 years.
Because people lie behind your back.
Well, yeah, and
you don't know who's sitting next to you.
I know that
you've been known them for 20 years,
right? But for 20 years, you sat there and broke bread with them, and they say one thing, and then, like you said,
but it's beginning to be more than one thing, though.
But that's what I'm getting at. Like you said before, people said things, and everybody has said things, and now all of a sudden, where's the moral turpitude? Where was the moral turpitude back then? Why didn't these people say this back then?
Well, I mean,
I just
shouldn't have been said.
It shouldn't have been said. It's
just I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that
I agree with you.
There's a lot more than that. There's a lot more he needs to do. Will he get the opportunity? No. He's through in football.
Look, it's like we said.
I don't even know if he could coach a boys club.
Like we said on our Tuesday show this past Tuesday. We do a high school show. Go to our Facebook, thearmchairsports.com, and you can get to any of our social media stuff. But like we said on our show on Tuesday, you know what? He's done. He's not going to get any. He had $100 million deal, and he's in his fourth year. I think it was a 6-year deal. So he's way past the $50 million mark.
At this point, it's not even about the money.
It is. Well, it's not about for them, but he's like, okay, I'm out of here. I got my money. I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out and sit in the middle of the ocean with Jimmy Johnson. And
but what else has he lost?
That's true. I mean, he hasn't lost any of his family because his family are backing him because everybody
his family
knows
be there, but he's lost a lot of respect.
Well, yeah, he's not. We were talking about this on our show Tuesday also. Will he ever get into the Hall of Fame? Will this be the Pete Rose of the NFL? Will this be the one that says no because of this?
I don't think he's a Hall of Fame coach anyway.
Yeah, a lot of people will disagree with you. Just look up the numbers and the wins and the attitudes and the things that he brought and the people that he brought to the NFL and the people that he.
But like that's my opinion. That's your opinion because there's a lot. You say there's a lot that disagree with me. Ain't gonna be a lot that disagree with you.
Right. Just like Matt Ryan is not a.
And Freddie Freeman, you suck, according to Roger.
See, Freddie, he said it right out of his mouth. You don't have to take my word; he just said it.
Yep, per Roger.
So there you go. So, and we have to tip our hats to the Braves. We're not going to say anything about them because this is Saturday and we're talking football. So let's move on. All right, we got the Gruden, and then then you got to do the Urban thing.
Your coach.
You got to do the Urban thing. I was at the game last Saturday, and I almost brought me a thumbs up card. Just say thumbs up. But, Mama T.
Do you really still think he's going to be there after this year?
Yeah, I think he will be. And you know why? Because I think what's going to happen is just as in the Florida State Seminoles, things are going to start to turn around. And when they do, they're going to end on a high note. And you're going to forget everything that happened at the beginning of the season because that's the way the NFL works. So my biggest thing is I agree with what's happening. I agree. Now, I'm not a big Urban fan. Everybody knows I'm not a great Urban fan. I don't get on his back like I have done on some of the folks. But I do think that it takes a minute to turn a team around. All this other distractions, yes, it's stuff that he should have done. That's all his maritals. That's between him and his wife. I understand,
but he's a public figure.
But what
I understand what you're saying. It's him and his wife, but he's a public figure.
I wouldn't finish. But he also has to get the respect of the team.
Mm-hmm. And he has not.
So he had. Well, that's not true because I am on the blogs. I am talking to these folks. That's not true. That's what media is saying. But when you look at Trevor, now the problem that I have is Trevor Urban comes out and said we didn't do a quarterback sneak. Which now let's transition into this. Urban Meyer comes out. It was 4th and 1. You got a Hall of Fame running back, not a Hall of Fame, but an All-Pro running back. He gets on the 1 yard, the half-inch line, and you got a quarterback that's 6'6", and you don't even jump into it. You don't do it. Let him do a quarterback sneak. So
he's a mobile quarterback.
And he's a mobile quarterback.
I think he's done at the end of the year.
Okay. Well, we're gonna move on real quick because this show comes to an end so quick. We don't get to talk NFL, but right now, this week. I really don't see anybody taking Buffalo Bills down. Tampa, I think, is going to be at the top.
What are you talking about? You got man, Atlanta is on a roll. We're going undefeated. We got one win. We got a win streak.
Jacksonville's going defeated.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
let's
put your hands back where they need to be. Is what my biggest thing is. Keep your hands in your pens where they need to be. Well, that about wraps it up. That's all I got to say, man. You got anything else to say?
Go Noles.
I can't say that. So I tell you what, we'll circle back to that.